Are there certain occasions that over-index or, food pairings or, I don't know, social context? Like, what type of information do you find that, seems particularly notable?
Yeah, I think what's interesting is we talk a lot about the social occasion, and that's incredibly important. From the data that we've collected through our own research, we see that it's like something like a third of usage occasions that consumers will tell us is actually those social moments. So it's still important. But that at home relaxing occasion is still really, really important for the consumer who wants that ritual of a glass of wine with their dinner or as they're winding down with the spouse. That's still a big piece of the opportunity for us. The on premise occasion is growing, but I think there's still so much opportunity there. And certainly the way we get to that insight is through the sales data around the on premise channel. We're seeing that occasion continue to grow. There's a way in there related to wine cocktails and using de-alc wine as an ingredient in wine cocktails that I think is really fun. But I also think there's a place for de-alc wine by the glass. I think that's really important. One of my favorite stats when we talk about the data about this industry and what's going on, that Nielsen tells us is that 93% of shoppers who buy a non-alc wine product also buy traditional alcohol. So that really helps us feel confident in this idea that we are not pushing people out of the category, but we are bringing people into the category, and these people are buying alcohol too. So it is truly incremental, and I think that gives us a lot of confidence in the role that we're playing in the larger wine industry.
Yeah, yeah. And, you mentioned, there's some boomers, there's some millennials, there's some Gen Z, there must be Gen X in there. When you're conceptualizing the target audience for free, how do you think about?
Yeah, I think for baby boomers, we know the role that it plays, and it is largely as a substitute for wine because they can't consume in the same way that they used to. So we're pretty clear on what that looks like. For Gen X and for millennials, it's also generally what we hear from them is that it is a substitute, but more occasion driven. So I'm trying to drink alcohol fewer days of the week, or the zebra striping idea. I'm going to have a glass of wine at dinner. I still want something in my hand, so now I'll have a non-alc. Maybe I'll have another or not, but it's a substitution for a traditional alcohol, whether that's completely or by occasion or whatever that is. And then with Gen Z, it's interesting because for some of those consumers, wine may not be a part of their life yet. So they're not replacing traditional wine with non alc wine, but they're experimenting with lots of different types of non alc products. And non alc wine can be a component of that. So what's really interesting is I think in that scenario, there's a way that non alc is an on ramp to wine, right? So maybe you're experimenting with the non alc mocktails and you're experimenting with other types of RTDs and non-alc wine, and then eventually you decide you want to have a traditional glass of wine, so you come that way. So it's like it can kind of go either ways.